Why is it that many women in the long-term relationship, they start to lose respect and really all this appreciation for their man? And while safety in the relationship is very important for women, and usually a woman starts to lose respect when a man stops, showing that they care or having the capacity to truly see them and make them feel seen, understood, and cared for. There are two other aspects that are very, very important and that we often don't talk about it. One of them is the alignment of internal values, meaning that, you see, if you don't have aligned values, meaning that if you don't really see why your boyfriend, husband appreciates or values certain things in their lives, let's say that he is very focused on building his own business, but you are actually not really seeing the value in it and just see, I just wanted a simple life. Why can't he focus more on family? We could spend weekends together with our family instead. But you actually don't see why he values what he values. And it can be many simpler things actually. Like, why does he like doing certain things? Why does he have certain hobbies, interests, etc., etc.? When you don't see this, you're beginning to see that he is investing energy in what you feel as irrelevant. Then, in the long-term relationship, this can actually affect how you feel, how much respect you have about for them. So even if you might respect them as a fellow human being, you might not really respect them as the masculine energy in the relationship. And then another thing that many people might not notice, and I'm going to bring out the concept of inner masculine and inner feminine. And this concept is actually not new because Carl Jung actually talked about this. Our inner animus, which is our inner masculine, and our inner feminine, the inner anima in the relationship and within us. So within each human being, there is an inner masculine and inner feminine. So even we women, we have our inner man, our inner masculine. And this represents the side of us that wants to get things done, that takes care of things. It is about the integrity and the responsibility we have with each other, with our lives. And when we have this inner masculine not matching actually with the inner masculine of our partners, our boyfriend, husband, which means that, for example, you don't really see what they are doing as effective. You don't really trust that they are capable of taking care of things. And for example, he might have one way to do something, and you might look at him and think, yeah, I actually think there are better ways to do it. And you might even borderline feel compelled to do the things yourself because you cannot really trust them to do. And it can be as bored as, the whole thing about how he runs his life. And now you cannot feel like he's doing the things in a capable way. Now your inner masculine cannot really respect his inner masculine. And what happens is that your inner masculine then wants to take the lead to make things happen, whether in the relationship or even with his life. So many women, what they do is that they start to see the man subconsciously as a project that they need to fix, as someone that they need to guide, someone that they need to, bring in this mothering energy to tell them what to do. Because the difference between mothering and supporting a man is that when you are supporting a man, you do trust that they have the capacity to take care of things. So you give, for example, advice only when they are asking for your advice opinion. But when you are mothering, you subconsciously cannot trust that he can take care of things, whether in his life or in the relationship. So what happens is that you start to tell them, hey, maybe you should do this. maybe you can try this. Or like, hey, let me take care of the dishes, let me take care of the laundry. I know better ways to do it more efficiently, even if you might not say this last phrase, but that's how you feel. And then what happens is that your inner masculine cannot then respect him as the masculine energy in the relationship. So then it actually can create disharmony in the relationship, because now you are creating a level of friction as well. And he might either be more and more passive, like, okay, you take the lead of the things, which happens with many men. And then in return, it triggers even more your inner masculine, because now you are frustrated. Now you have to feel that you need to take care of things even more. Or he might start to challenge you back, and then you guys butt heads, basically. And see who takes the lead, who does the things better, who etc etc. But then you cannot agree to it. And well, while the differences and the incompatibility of masculine energies might be able to work out, because you can still learn how to work as a team. Maybe you can learn how to communicate better, so that you are like doing this progressive work together as a team. But when it comes to misaligned values, here is more difficult, because while you can learn to respect what other people appreciate, what they value, what they find relevant, when it comes to being in a relationship, if you don't have this aligned, it can be very hard to appreciate the whole thing, like the whole things that the other person values. And then this might create feelings of feeling unseen, misunderstood, the needs not so met. Because when a person doesn't appreciate the same things or similar things, or at least can honor them, and they find it like, oh, why is he focused so much on these kind of things, like he's wasting time and energy on this. But then they also don't value what we value, what we might find important. For example, imagine that one person has more requirements of cleanliness than when they are together in the kitchen. Like one person might be, hey, we need to be careful, wash our hands more often, and etc. And then the other person, imagine, values more freedom. And the other person might be like, oh, why are you so stressed about these things? Let's just actually enjoy this. And now this is not enjoyable, and you're ruining it. Then you see, they cannot really see eye to eye. And even if they might try, like for example, the freedom person, the freedom lover person might try to, okay, now I can adjust, let's say. But then they still are not really understanding why the fuss about so much cleanliness. Like, and then they do, but then they are not feeling like they are really wanting to do it. Then now they cannot really enjoy it. It finds it really restrictive. And if the other person, the cleanliness one, tries to, okay, maybe I can adjust and not worry so much, but then they are like, they mentally are stressed. Now they cannot fully also enjoy the situation, because they feel like they are constantly hyper vigilant, their nervous system activated, wondering when might they get some disease or bacteria because of the lack of cleanliness. And I can tell you, I experienced that before, that I was in one relationship where we didn't have real alignment. And then the other person, once they were touching the trash can, and then instead of washing their hands, they were already trying to cook and touching the utensils. And I was already, I don't like this, because I have a level of cleanliness. So now I don't value their freedom so much, like they were a free spirit and all, but then I don't value certain things. And then they might not also value my overly cleanliness in their perspective. And now we are creating a level of discomfort. Well, and it can be okay, we tolerate each other at best, but then at our worst, we might even fight. Like, I didn't fight with him, but with some couples, they can actually fight. And I can tell you that in that relationship, because of this lack of alignment of values, then there's this lack of emotional attunement. So we don't really understand and are therefore willing to meet each other's need and desires as much as if we were to be more attuned. And I could tell you that there was this quiet frustration, quiet, even borderline resentment and discomfort brewing in that I was feeling as the relationship was developing. And I couldn't really feel as close and as emotionally in tune with him, basically, because we had a lot of things that are fundamentally mismatched. So understand that it's not always just about, I cannot respect a man because he's not showing up in a masculine way. But sometimes it's about misalignment of values, and then our inner masculine simply has different ways of operating. So then the natural respect that we could have in relationships doesn't really flow as naturally. So there are fundamental incompatibilities with our masculine and feminine energies in the relationship. So if you find this interesting and you want to know more, for example, how to have the different flavors of your feminine energy, your feminine essence, and how we can intoxicate a man in a relationship, and how to have more compatibility between the masculine and energy essences in a relationship so you have more polarity and attraction with your husband, boyfriend, then you can check out my Share Dream Girl course. And if you want to learn more about how to communicate in a more harmonious way between the masculine and the feminine, and understand where each of your needs and desires come from, and how to foster more invitation and desire and communication in a healthier manner instead of fostering more of this butting heads energy and resistance from your husband, boyfriend, you can check out my Art of Feminine Communication and Influence course, in which I talk a lot about the juicy stuff in communication that goes beyond words. And my name is Monica, and welcome to the Blooming Feminine Academy.